The man convicted for the murder of Anna Mae Pictou Aquash wants to come back to Canada. John Graham was extradited to the United States in 2007 and convicted for the 1975 murder of Aquash. Her body was discovered on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota in February 1976. Aquash was 30 years old when she was murdered, suspected of being an FBI informant. Graham is serving a life sentence in a prison in South Dakota, but is currently seeking a transfer back to Canada where he can serve the rest of his life sentence. Aquash's daughter, Denise Pictou Maloney, joins us now for more on this. Denise, thanks so much for taking some time today. I know a special day for you. What is your reaction to John Graham seeking a treaty transfer to return to Canada, and what do you think the consequences might be?
Well, it's interesting, this continuous cycle of re-traumatization that our family has had to experience over the last 20 plus years. For someone that is so incensed on coming home, there's important facts and information that's left out of the story. Our family was served with 2 injunctions when we tried to bring my mother home by John Graham's defense committee. Once when we repatriated her, and again when we tried to reintern her a couple months later. So, the significance of him asking to come home, it hits really hard for us because we never got the opportunity. It would have been nice for us to bring her home and to have that, that opportunity to lay her to rest without that interruption or without that trauma.
Do you feel that there has been any justice for the murder of your mother? Initially
in the first days when we had sentences handed down and we went through the trials, and they were pretty fresh because it wasn't just his trial. There were four trials that we went through with 23 eyewitness accounts of his actions every step of the way, from her kidnapping to him tying her hands and then putting her in the back of his car and driving her to Rapid City from Colorado, from Denver, Colorado. I would say no, not when your family is constantly having to revisit this cycle of opportunities that he has had in exhausting every process to defend his accountability. He has used American and Canadian justice systems to find technicality and to free himself. And he had 20 years to speak his truth. His claims about a court shift in that article, information that's left out of that story is that he disenfranchised himself. He denounced himself as an Indigenous man, so he didn't have to go through federal court. And then he was charged with state court as a non-Indigenous man. And that is the time that he's serving for felony murder. He's 25 years to live his life, to grow his family, to live free, while the lies that he and his counterparts participated in hiding the actual facts that it was American Indian Movement members that murdered my mother. It really hits hard for us. It's just reopening wounds again. It's a reminder of how families of MMIWG and 2S individuals in this country are not centered and valued. He's had a whole team of lawyers defending his rights for the last 20 years. Our family has been on our own defenses and our own devices to write those letters for advocacy and for support. And we've written hundreds of letters over the last 49 years to ask for help and support in what happened to my mom.
Denise, you've been touching on it here, but I guess, how has this impacted your life over these many decades?
Well, I think the biggest impact for us is, his actions have impacted my constitutional matrilineal rights to have my culture and my language, to be able to share that on to the next generations. That has impacted Annie Mae's grandchildren. They don't, and I say they, meaning those that bring harm on our women, don't acknowledge the abrupt interruption that creates in our matrilineal right to move forward and to continue on in this universe undisturbed.
Denise, we'll leave it there. But again, like I said, important day for you. Appreciate you joining us on it.
Thank you. It's her birthday. Would have been her 79th birthday today. So, Bulalin.